Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. And you know what? It is day 3 now without anything that we've unboxed on this channel. And for when I think about that number, it bothers me a little bit because I do love unboxing things with you guys on the channel. But on the other hand, I think a lot of it's because I was very busy and distracted with everything going on with the Chicago Marathon last week. So I've gotten back to, not that I send emails out like every day asking for stuff from brands, but a lot of times I'll be on my phone and I'll be looking for stuff, and then I'll be like, oh, hey, that looks nice. Let me reach out. I know someone at that brand. Now let me see if I can test that out, because I think that either I will like it, or you guys will like it, or it's peculiar and it's something that we should check out. So I have sent out a bunch of emails. So people, I have some stuff also coming from the feed in a little bit. So like there's stuff coming, and I have a feeling what's going to happen is it's all going to come right when we're all ready to start talking about New York. So then I'll have all these packages that are like backed up at the house, and then I have to leave for New York. So that's kind of how things go, but that's all right. We'll take things as they come. And before we get further into the episode for today, let's say hi to everyone listening on the podcast on the audio only version. Hopefully you're having a good run today. Today out here, weather was beautiful. It started out really chilly and then turned into a very nice day. I think this is going to be the warmest day of the week for us here in Crystal Lake. And we had no rain, which was kind of in the forecast, but I don't think we're going to get any today. So hopefully you're having similarly nice weather, especially for all of you guys tapering soon for New York. Hopefully you guys are having that last final, I think this is probably your last week of work. Is that right? Guys, let me know in the chat here if I'm right on that timing wise. And let's say hi to everyone listening on YouTube later, but not live. Welcome to you guys as well. You're listening to the number one place to figure out what to do for New York Marathon weekend. I said Chicago Marathon weekend for a second. But I got a text message from Drew Wickham today, and he let me know that there is a plogging event that you can sign up for with New York Roadrunners and friend of the show, Tina Muir. So Drew and I are signed up for that. That's at 11:30. Sorry. That's at 11:30. And so that should give you guys time to go to the Believe in the Run shakeout, do the run, which probably won't kick off right at 10, maybe 10:15. Then if there's like a half-hour run, that's 10:45. Then you guys got like 15, 30 minutes to hang out, and then we'll go run to the plogging if you guys want to go do that. So that's what's going on. That's what's up. All right, let's see who we got here in the chat. Ronan Will says, hey, everyone. Man, I see the singlet showing up everywhere, and I am digging it. Great job, Cole. Well, thank you so much. And remember, guys, there will be a restock for those of you guys who missed out the first time around. I'm feeling a little bit bolder. So maybe I will try to figure out international shipping for the second round. I'm leaning towards not, just because it feels like a lot. But we'll see. I'll think about it. I'm thinking about it. All right. Natsuku says, hey, Ko, I watched your 2020 Houston recap, and you seem like a whole different person than in your videos now. What triggered the change, or is it just knowledge and growing over time? I mean, we're always growing and changing. I feel like, there was this meme, there was not a meme, but there was this theme going around not a long time ago, maybe around Houston 2020 time, where YouTubers were like reacting to their old cringy videos, like air quotes, and I just feel like it's normal. It's kind of how it should be. If you're growing and developing as a person, that stuff from a long time ago should feel very different. And I know Houston 2020 doesn't seem like a long time ago, but that was before the pandemic. So, and like Houston's like the second weekend in 2020, so it's basically 2019. So, I mean, it's almost 4 years at this point. That's almost a lifetime ago. I was like, I'm halfway. I don't even know what the subscriber count was for at that time, yeah. Frank says, it's a whole different world between chasing sub 3 and having already gotten it. That does make a big difference. Mental space wise, you know what I mean? Morgan, the running guy, says, yo, 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 everyone. Got 4 mile intervals at 5K pace done. Nice. Miles at 4 times 1 mile at 5K pace. That's hard. Tried to negotiate myself to just do 3 intervals, but got all 4 done. Wow. Next up, some rice and curry while listening to a cool live stream. All right. I hope that's a gigantic bowl of rice and curry because that's a killer workout, man. Woo. All right. Let's scroll down a little bit. Let me catch up with you guys in the chat. Cobalt Blue says, we're expecting a nor'easter in New York City on Saturday. Rain 13 out of the past 19 weekends. That sounds like someone who is marathon training. That's terrible. I'm laughing, but it's horrible news. I'm so sorry. All right. Stevie76 says, another big difference between 2020 and 2023 is I'm balder. Yeah, the hairline has certainly changed for me. All right. Kuvank says, excited my single is finally coming in the right direction after went to California first while he lives in New Hampshire. LOL. Hopefully today or tomorrow. I hope so too. Rob DeGennaro says, I gotta do a pre-order. I worry about doing the pre-order. I feel like that's gonna mess things up. I don't know why. I just feel like it makes things harder. Alf Dickinson wants to know who's gonna carry the boats. It's raining cats and dogs in London town this evening. It's a gym day for sure. Ooh, there you go. You don't know me. They don't know me, son. It's just a reflex. At this point, I can't not say it. I don't know. Isaiah says, all right, Tina Muir just goes from city to city cleaning up. I love it. I know. I really wish I could have joined her in Atlanta. But I'll be able to join her in New York. Hopefully. I mean, I have a sneaking suspicion that things are either the time's going to change for the Believe in the Run thing, or it's going to go long, which is exactly what happened in Atlanta. And then I won't be able to get out of there in time. Because my big concern, I did sign up for a ticket and it does say going fast. There's not a lot of space left for Tina Muir's event. And my concern is the Believe in the Run event is going to be gigantic. I think it's going to be ludicrously large. And that means there's going to be a lot of people there that I want to say hi to and then we'll want to talk. And I do not want to rush that part. And so Drew and I might have to run really hard to get from one spot to the next, but it is something that I really want to make sure that I can do. All right, Kyle Messa says he is running New York City. All right, Kyle. Is it too early to look at the weather? How far out are we? Today's the 18th, so we're still 15 days out, something like that. Okay, all right. And Mark says, my taper officially starts today for New York City. There you go. And Kaz says, his Nimbus 25 Trails just arrived, and the Kofuzi Run Club Sing It just arrived yesterday with I think that's a party emoji. It's an emoji blowing what do they call those things? The noisemakers that curl out. Those used to be so much fun growing up. It would curl up like a snail, and then you would blow in it and go, and it would extend. Remember I don't know what those were called. I used to love those. Now I don't even feel like they even make those anymore. I don't know. Ranjit Singh says, your running video is very informative. How do you improve with respect to all different races? What recommendation would you give if someone's starting running video from scratch? Okay, a couple different questions there. How do you improve with respect to all different races? I would say just consistency. Just run more. You don't have to run faster. You don't have to run harder. Just running more is probably a good start for most people without me knowing anything about your current running history or fitness levels. Just run more. And what recommendation do you give someone starting running video from scratch? From scratch is start making videos today or tomorrow. If you already ran today, start making them tomorrow. With whatever camera you have, that's a great camera because it's one that you have. And make a lot of videos. You don't have to you can make the best video you can, but don't work on making a perfect video. And just make a lot of them. It doesn't even matter if people don't see them. Probably better if people don't see them in the beginning. But make a lot. You'll learn a lot about making videos that way by making them. Me telling you stuff is only going to help you so much. You making them is going to help you out a lot. Yeah, Adam says, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. That's true. Very, very true. CV76 says, Thomas said there was one person in the hotel room post-marathon that had one too many martinis. I think I heard Kofa's yelling in the background of the Emma Bates podcast. That might have been me. I'm pretty sure it was me. Yeah. Aaron says, sorry I missed it. Well, what did Kofa say about Atlanta and Tina Muir? Oh, yeah. I was supposed to go to the plogging event, but the Adidas Runners event, which was right before it, I think there was an hour gap between it. Like one was supposed to start at 10 and the other was supposed to start at 11. The Adidas Runners event, we all gathered at 10. We started doing a long extended warm up at like 10:15. And then we didn't start running till almost 10:30, maybe a little later than that. And so we didn't finish the run until after the plogging event had already left. So that was it. BC Stro, I think that's how I say it. BC Stro says, I've seen a lot of prerequisite running sub 3 hour marathon is a 125 half. What was your fitness level prior to your sub 3 in Tokyo? Any tips? I ran a 129 half recently and a sub 40 10K. I think my half marathon PR is like a 126. It might be 127. I think it's a 126. And my 10K PR, my best time trial 10K is like 40 minutes and like 6 seconds. And my fastest like official 10K is from like 6 years ago. So like they're not prerequisites. They're not like a you can't unless. But there are things that are kind of like indicators. There are various different indicators. What was my fitness level prior to running a sub 3 in Tokyo? I was in 3 hour marathon pace fitness. That's the fitness. I don't know if I'm answering the question in a confusing way or not. There are different ways of indicating to yourself whether you're fit or not for a sub 3 marathon. I think saying running a 125 half, I feel like then if you can convert that fitness to tweak it to adjust to the marathon distance and train specifically for that distance, because I think the training is slightly different, then it means like, yeah, you are capable. There's no prerequisite. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I've never run 125. So, I mean, running 125 is kind of my goal for my January PB attempt. So like there's no prerequisite. Some things that I look at from the way I train is like I need a lot of mental confidence boosters to be able to run sub 3. And that means running a certain number of 20-mile runs. Doesn't matter how long. Just running 20 miles a bunch of times because I feel like I need the confidence that I can hit the distance. Just covering the distance. And then there's other workouts that I'm doing that I think convert and give me indicators that I might be ready for sub 3 fitness. And that's something that correlates and times well with my personal training and the way that I've trained for marathons. And so a favorite workout of mine is 6 times 6 minutes at threshold pace with 60-second recoveries. So a very short recovery. When I was in sub 3 fitness, I can usually hit those 6-minute intervals at about anywhere between 6:05 to 6:15 per mile pace. So I'm almost running a full mile in that 6 minutes. And that is about where I was fitness-wise. That's a good indicator workout. Another good indicator workout is if I'm doing, say, like a 17 or 16 mile long run. If I do a 3 mile warm up, 10 miles at 650 pace, and then 3 miles cool down, if I could hit 10 miles at 650 pace and not feel like I have to stop after that 10 mile block, I could just keep jogging through for a cool down. Then I feel like, I feel like I'm in pretty good 3 hour marathon pace. And that's untapered on a high mileage week. For me, that's like 75 miles in the week. So those are things are like indicators to me. because those are workouts that I do and I can kind of tell if I'm getting there. But those are also workouts that I do all throughout the block. So right now, when I do that 6 times 6 minutes, my paces are about 6:30 to 6:35 for that 6 minutes at threshold pace. So I feel like I'm working exactly as hard, but it's not translating to power and fitness yet. And so like that changes over time. I still will do that 16-mile run, but that 10 miles at marathon effort might be at about 7-minute pace, because that's what I can hold for 10 miles. And I keep repeating that workout periodically throughout the block. And then towards the end, hopefully, if I'm trying to hit sub 3, I'm hitting that 10-mile block at goal marathon pace, or I'm hitting those threshold repeats at 6:05 to 6:15-ish kind of pace on average throughout the entire workout. And if I'm not hitting them, maybe I'm just not hitting them. Maybe something good will happen on race day, but it's telling me that my fitness probably isn't quite there yet. So that's how I look at it, Yeah, so Ernst has typed it out. Yeah, so like one workout is 6 times 6 minutes at threshold with 60-second reps. And the long run is like a 3-mile warm-up, 10 miles at goal marathon pace, and then however many more miles you want to cool down to round out the long run. So that's kind of something. And I won't do that long run workout every week. A lot of time, that 10 miles at marathon effort is a hard workout. A lot of times I break that one up into like 3 or 4 times 5K at goal marathon effort with like, a 800 meter or a 1K jog in between. So those are some of like the key workouts. And at this point, I've described to you like 3/4 of all the workouts that I do. Everything else is just a bunch of easy running. Calvin says, in other news, my local spring marathon website was taken down because they're changing the course and yet to announce it. It used to be a net downhill and road to flat. Now I'm nervous. What do you think they're going to do, Calvin? You think they're going to change it and be like, ha, now we're giving you the real course, lightly rolling, and then it's actually going to be like a tortuous adventure? I think you'll be fine. I think it just means that like they're probably working with the city in terms of like permitting and which roads to cut off and stuff. I wouldn't worry too much. Zachary James says, the 1080 version 13 is throwing a wrench in my daily trainer shopping. You're replacing the Peg 40. The 1080 over everything. I'm assuming you like the Peg 40. The 1080 version 13 is going to feel very different for you. It's going to feel a lot squishier, and mainly squishier. I like it a lot more than the Peg 40 for sure. But that is a good one, and it's hard to say over everything because I know certain other shoes are coming out in the next couple months. I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy a shoe if you need a shoe right now, but anything that I'm talking about, I'm talking about like if we're talking about like shoe of the year kind of discussions. There's a couple other good shoes that I think I'm waiting for before I kind of make that determination. But for now, things that I'm really enjoying, 1080 version 13, very, very high on the list. If you really like the Peg 40, you might be okay with a shoe that I think is a little bit on the firm side for daily training, but is a really fun shoe for speedier stuff. And that's the Puma Deviate Nitro 2. So like those two shoes are going to be probably in my top 5 of shoes of the year. For sure. They'll be in the running because this 1080 is really good. The Deviate Nitro 2 is really good. Are we getting an update to the More this year? I don't know. When did the More 4 come? The More version 4 was out last year because I have a New York City edition. So like that was out last year. I don't know if we're getting an update to the More version 4. But that's also another one I really like. Nimbus 25 is probably going to be in the running too. So there's a lot of really good shoes this year. But yeah, I think if you're coming from the Peg 40, I think the 1080 13 is a really good one to look at. I would say like the Triumph, like the 20 or the 21, but I just think coming from a Peg, you might not love that one. The Boston might be a really good choice for you too, assuming you really like what the kind of the Peg has to offer, because the Boston is a little bit on that firmer side So those are some things I would look at. Andrew Cho says, I read a rumor that the Rebel 4 is going to be out soon. I have not heard anything about the Rebel. Oh, focus. We're losing focus here. Okay. Focus. Yeah, I have not heard anything about the Rebel. I have not heard anything about the More. New Balance has been kind of quiet for 2023, I feel like. I mean, the 1080 has been fantastic. So it's like hard to say that they've been quiet. But I'm like, think about like, we saw an 880 update. Now we've got the 1080 update. We had the SC Trainer version 2 update. All solid updates. But then, although I didn't run in the 880, I'm assuming it was a solid update. People speak highly of it. But like, where's the Rebel? Where's the More? Where's the SC Elite? I could see like New Balance has done stuff where they've kind of like shifted release schedules. So they're not exactly like 12 months on the year. Like when they went from 1080 version 10 to 11, I remember it being like 15, if not 18 months in between releases. So like when a shoe does well with New Balance, they'll just keep selling it for a while. You know what I mean? They'll be like, it ain't broke. We're going to keep selling it, which I think makes a lot of sense. And I think other brands are starting to do some of that stuff kind of too. But like what I mean by quiet is like, I know that like they needed to extend the SC Elite version 3, or I don't know, but like it seems like they intentionally extended the SC Elite version 3 over a year, you know, in terms of like an update. But I don't know. I thought I saw Thomas posted a picture of a new in Strava. His shoe was New Balance Proto 4 or something like that. So I think he said he was going to be running New York in that one. So I don't know if that is an SC Elite 4. Maybe that's coming for London. We'll see. Mark says, there's still lots of colors available on the More version 4 on New Balance right now, and it's still at full price. Still at full price. I mean, good for New Balance if they're still moving it. Because that is a really good shoe. I enjoy that one quite a bit. But yeah, that shoe's been out for about a year now. So you would think that maybe some discounts, but just some refreshed colorways, I guess. Nice. Eliza says, why is Indy going to be raining? Is it going to be? I feel so bad for Indianapolis because they've had bad weather for like the last 3 runnings now then. Like this year was bad. Last year was like super windy. The year before that, people had like hypothermia. Who was it that had like the big sub 3 women's group? Was it Tracksmith or was it Rabbit? I think it was one of the two. They had made this big deal. I love the idea from a marketing perspective where they had gathered all these women that were like on the sub 3 bubble and had them like train together, not literally together because they're from all over the country, but like had them like working together. I think they had someone write plans for them and they all met in Indianapolis and they were all going to run together. And it was just like a brutally cold day. I think some of them were still successful, but it was like one of those too cold marathon days. I just feel like Indy's been getting some really bad luck lately. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Adam says, and this sounds very wise, marathon time predictions from shorter efforts are more accurate if you've done a number of marathons before, and the accumulation of time on feet over years is the best predictor for marathon success. Yeah, I was just listening to Jared Ward's interview with Chris Chavez on my run today. And he was saying that he got into Berlin like 5 weeks before Berlin, something like that. And I was like, what? How's that even possible? But I was like, all right, well, I guess he was training with Conor Mance and like the 3 of them, the 3 dudes were, I'm just drawing a name on a blank on the name. But the three dudes were all, the 3 BYU dudes were all training together already, and they were training for 208 paces. And then he got a call saying that he could get into Berlin 5 weeks out, and so he decided to take it. And I'm just like, well, he's a very seasoned athlete. He knows what he's doing. And like, he doesn't need that much time to specifically like move up his schedule a little bit. So I guess that's just how it works. But like, and I remember like, I don't know if it was interviews with Meb or something that in one of his books where Meb Kafuzzi was just like, yeah, after a while, I only needed like 6 or 7 weeks because like my body knows what it's doing. So like, I just need to sharpen up, you know? And I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. That's amazing. Incredible. But yeah, I think that over time, your time on feet definitely kind of like helps you understand what your body is doing too. Yeah. Yeah, Aaron's Basement says, I'm going to have at least 3 20-milers for my spring marathon, LOL. Well, here's the thing. So the one marathon block, I did like 3 20-milers, like 3 consecutive weeks. And then I had like, and that was like 3 weeks before the race. So then I had a slightly down week and then a full 2-week taper. That marathon I did terribly. But I had a lot of confidence and in subsequent blocks that I was like, okay, I don't need to do like 3 or 4 20-milers this time. So now I actually don't do that many 20-milers. I'll do like 1, maybe 2 during a block. But I also think that one block where I did do 3, I think I did 3 and then also like an 18-miler. So a lot of long runs. That was really important for me mentally. I'm not saying that doing 3 20-milers is going to be bad for you in the spring, but I'm just letting you know what happened to me. Frank says, but 20-milers are fun. They are fun though. I enjoy them. So I think that like running a 20-miler with work in it, like with like marathon effort, some marathon effort miles, I might only do once a block. But if I just like, if someone else is like, hey, can you help me? I'm doing a 20-mile run. And if it's something that's a little bit on my easier pace effort, yeah, then I'd hop in and help, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. And Brian Lang says, 20-milers are fun. Wait, what? Steven C1984 says, what's the shortest distance you want to race? Tim Gross does some 800-meter races from time to time. I'm sure I want to do anything shorter than a mile, and those races are hard to find. I could see myself doing an 800, but probably not. I think I would like to do a full mile, not like around here. There's not easy, but typically you encounter 1,600-meter races. But I'd like to do a mile, just at some point. I'd love to see if I could get sub 5, but honestly, I don't think I could get much under 5:20. And it would depend on how much I had a chance to train for it. But like, the only way that would come up for me is if I hopped into like a USATF Masters track meet. When you do the steeplechase, it's 3,000 meters, which is fun. I like that distance, especially when you got the water pit and the other barriers and obstacles to jump over. I think that's fun. But like doing like an 800-meter on the track, that just sounds it sounds so painful. my legs are burning just thinking about it. Mandy Paré LeBlanc says, guy at our local running store said that New Balance told them not to expect an update to the Rebel until the beginning of 2024. I mean, that's interesting because the Rebel has been on sale for a long time. Like it's been on sale pricing, right? Like some of those early colorways, the ones that I didn't love, like the blue and was it yellow, lime green ones? Those that I didn't like that at all. But those have been on sale for like a year. You know, like not like sale price discounted. So I don't know. Maybe they're making new ones of those too. I mean, the Rebel 3 was a fantastic shoe, really good. So I'm like, I don't really have a lot of notes to improve that one. Like, there's nothing that I'm looking forward to, like, ooh, hopefully they changed it. You know, there's a lot of shoes where I feel like that, but not the Rebel 3. There's a really good shoe. So I wouldn't be in a rush to change it either. But that's the hard thing is like, all right, so maybe you don't update the Rebel 3 in a hurry. Makes a lot of sense. What about the More version 4? Yeah. Oh, I guess that makes sense too. What about the SC Elite? Oh, you're not going to rush to update that one either? Oh, okay. Cool. You know, it's just like, at some point, it's just like, well, it seems like you guys are just chilling this year. Maybe they need to, you know, do that from a business perspective. But I just feel, for me, from someone who likes new things, I like novelty. I'm like, I feel like I haven't been talking about New Balance all that much lately. Ernest Capagnon says, what do you think about 22 milers? Does it make a difference? I think that if a 20-mile run doesn't get you close to like the 3-hour mark, then maybe consider it. But if you're already over 3 hours for your 20-mile run, then I would not really want to push for 22, because I just don't think that there's marginal gains. Maybe some mental ones, you know, and that is not negligible, you know, but like aerobically, you know, your body is kind of just like not really going to be absorbing much benefit. I think of it like this. And it's taken me quite a while to figure out training. Your body might be physically capable of doing more training, but it doesn't mean it's going to be able to take advantage of it, right? And the way I think of it or equate it to is like cramming for a test. You can stay up late reading your notes 2 more times, you know, going over your outlines or whatever. But if you're like a zombie at that point, reading it 1 or 2 extra times, you're not going to remember it. You're just going to be more tired. Right. So like, so the extra work you do may even be hurting you for the following morning, right? When it comes to studying and preparing well for a test. I think there's a certain point where people talk about overtraining, which I feel like is more of a syndrome. There might be hormonal changes that are happening. There's another thing where it's like your body's you're doing more work, but you're not getting more benefit out of it. And that's where I think a lot for most people, like where a 22-mile run may fit. And for me, the more I think about it, the more I feel like your long run should just be about time and not really about a distance. Unless, again, there's that mental component where you're like, well, I don't even know if I can run 20 miles. I feel like I'd be petrified. Like I can relate to the idea that I would have been petrified. I don't think I did a 20-mile run before my first marathon anyway, so I don't remember. But like, there are times where I'm like, I don't know if I can run fast if I haven't done a 20-mile run in the block. So I can understand that there's that, but I also just feel like physiologically, there's a point after which, you know, your body might be moving and covering the distance, but I don't know how much physiological benefit you're getting from it. Hopefully that makes sense. Frank says, I think most of the reason the number of 20 milers is at all predictive is that people who can do lots of them aren't as likely to pick up an injury in the race. Not anything to do with performance per se. I like that. I can see that. Andrew Cho says, out of those 20 miles, how many do you run in them at race pace? I do none of them at 20 miles at race pace. 0. I just saw someone else on Strava who I've been following their progress. And I don't know what their coaching is like, but they did a 20-mile run at a relatively fast clip, and I didn't look at the splits, so who knows? I think there was a little bit of warm up and then some work and some other stuff in there. So overall, it was very fast, but it felt like that was a lot of work. And I'm like, hopefully this person is younger than me, so I'm assuming they'll be able, and their coaches figured out that they will be able to recover quickly from that. But I think of it like, you know, early on, I used to be like, all right, I want to run my 20-mile run at a little bit less than race pace, but I want to feel like I'm working the whole 20 miles. Again, that was like my confidence builder, and that was my mentality going into it. These days, I very rarely do one pace for a long run, like a 20-mile run. It's usually broken up like long warm-up, chunk of work in the middle, really long cool down, if you want to call like a 6-mile block a cool down, you know? So that's typically how I'll run it, where a lot of it's easy and some of it's work. And I do it that way because I think that like let's say I'm trying to go for like a sub 3. It's like it's a 650 per mile. Let's say I do 20 miles at 7:05. So 15 seconds per mile slower. Right? I feel like that is an extremely hard run to do for 20 miles. I think from a recovery perspective, it would be harder to recover from that than if I raced a half marathon, like a PR attempt 2 weeks before a marathon race. I think both of them are, for someone that's especially my age, in their 40s, just a lot to ask your body to recover from quickly. And I don't know how much, I'm not getting like 100% of the benefit that I possibly could from a workout like that. That's kind of how I do it. CV76, I got to do Crystal Lake to O'Hare at race pace. That's like 35 miles. Maybe, well, is it? I don't know, like 30 miles. It's long. It's a marathon. That's the race. And then Richard Wilson says, my Fitzinger plan has a 29K with 23 of them at marathon pace. 13 miles, that's like more than 13 miles at marathon pace. That feels like a lot to me. When I look at Jack Daniels, the longest he ever prescribes in a long run is 10 miles at marathon effort. As far as I know, maybe some of the more advanced plans, maybe I've chosen to ignore those. I don't know, but I feel like the longest has been 10 miles. I think that if I were faster, I would feel great about that. You know what I mean? Because like for me, 10 miles at marathon effort, that is, I don't know, a third of a marathon. It's like, it ends up being, no. How many minutes is that? Almost 7. It's like 70 minutes of work, right? So 70 minutes of marathon effort for my long run. I feel like if you are running faster than me, that 23K might end up being 70 minutes of work. I mean, that's most like professional half marathon race pace though, to be 70 minutes for 23K. So I don't know. That seems a little bit long to me. I've always felt like Fitzinger plans were a little bit more strenuous. I'm not saying they were necessarily like more difficult, as in more advanced, but like they just felt really hard. I think I tried doing a Fitzinger build once, and I was just like, I don't think this is for me. I don't know. That sounds crazy, to be honest with you. Lawrence House says, in my 20-mile runs, I'll have easy pace miles for the majority of it, and then at the end of the run at race pace, my legs get accustomed to the pace and effort later in the race. So I feel like that makes sense too. I usually like to put them in the middle because then it's easier. It's just easier. I think that's the only reason. Yeah, I don't want to work as hard, I guess. I don't know. I've always kind of just sandwiched them in the middle. Alf Dickinson says, a lot of people seem to be doing an easy-paced major marathon and then banging big PBs in a goal race a month later at the moment. Seems a bit expensive and wasteful for me personally, but hey, if it works. Yeah, interesting. That's a very interesting observation. That is a very expensive way to prep for a marathon. But I'm guessing that person enjoys marathoning and happens to be having fun and is trying to combine the opportunity to run a major marathon with a different race that they might be preferring for their goal race. Maybe it's flatter, maybe it's closer to home and logistics are easier. So maybe that's what it is. I don't think that those are causally related. Like, okay, so here's what you get. Like, can you imagine if you like called up a coach and were like, look, I've been trying to break 3 for a couple of years now and I don't know what to do. I'm looking for a coach to help guide me, to get me over the hump, right? If that coach is just like, here's what you got to do. So what you got to do is you got to get yourself a ticket to Tokyo, jog it, and then come back get another ticket and go to London a month later. That's going to be your PB. What about training and race plans? Doesn't matter. Just get the first one and jog it. You know, I don't think that's what it's going to be. I know that's not what you're saying, but it's a peculiar observation. Marlon Gaspar says, I use a Sage Candidate from Higher Running BQ plan for 3 training blocks. It has a 20-miler all steady at goal marathon pace minus 20 seconds. 3 weeks more the race. It used to be a huge confidence booster. I think Yeah, I think where I am now, I don't need the confidence booster. I feel confident in other aspects of training, It has nothing to do with like, well, I've been there before, so that's what it is. I just really doubted my own abilities to make it that long, So it's like that was really important. 20-miler all steady at goal marathon minus 20 seconds. I mean yeah. I think I don't think that's wrong, but I'm still not a huge fan of it. I just feel like it's a lot. It just feels like a lot. 3 weeks is okay. 3 weeks I can handle that though. Because that's a nice way to, I probably wouldn't do a full taper week after that, but then do another lighter week. But like if that 3 weeks out is the end of your peak week, that can make a lot of sense. I bought several Sage Candidate training plans. I've never actually looked at them though. I bought a bunch of them when he and Sandy had that fire. But yeah, I'm not actually. I think I'm gonna just send it to my burning buddy. Justin Miller says, "Are you still a big a believer in MAF? Enjoyed your video with Forrest. Well, thanks. That's an old one. Let's talk about cringy stuff. That was a long time ago. I would say that like a Maffetone purist would probably say I'm not Maffetone training. I say that I use a lot of the principles where all my easy runs are at like under 140 beats per minute, which is right around my Maffetone number. If you do the +5, it's below by a couple. And so I'm doing a lot of just easy running, but I also do race specific training. So like that is going back to the Houston 2020 video that we talked about at the top of the hour. That was a big difference because that was my first block where basically all I was doing was Maffetone running. In fact, I was doing a lot of Maffetone walk jogging, like 14-minute miles, that kind of thing. Very frustrating. And so then like, I think maybe like a month before the race, I started doing a couple of workouts just to hone specifically for the marathon distance. Again, needed a confidence booster. And so that was that race. Since then I've realized like, I think that like just the Maffetone low heart rate running is not going to be enough for me. So when it comes to a race, again, focus is really off today. What's going on here? There we go. Focus. Okay. So when it comes to a race, I will do race specific training with all the easy running being at low heart rate, but then I'll do a lot of threshold work if I'm doing a half marathon or marathon training. If I'm doing 5K prep work, then I'll do a lot of 800s and 400s at faster paces to specifically tailor my workouts. I think of these as still being consistent with Maffetone because Maffetone talks a bunch about how a lot of his athletes will race their way to fitness, doing a lot of 10K type races almost every week for some of them as they get ready for bigger races. And Maffetone, I feel like, at least in his book anyway, was not super specific on like, here's a 12-week training plan for you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't care if someone a purist thinks I'm a Maffetone or not. I feel like I'm using a lot of low heart rate principles in my training. Oh, all right. EPMD says, Daniel's 2Q plans have 13 to 14 miles at marathon pace as part of some of the long runs. Yeah, I think maybe I've just pretended that those didn't exist. I don't like longer than 10 miles at marathon pace. Thanks for the check, though. I appreciate that. Makes me, everything else make a lot more sense, but it just feels like 13 miles at marathon effort feels like a lot. But then again, like if you do a half marathon race as a tune-up, I've done that before. And that number feels like it's too much. But then usually all I do that day is 13 miles. It's not like a 20-mile day. So I don't know. Frank says, the Fitzinger does oftentimes seem aggressive. Even the names of the plans, 80-12, 50-18, whatever, seem aggressive. Yeah. Andrew Scott says, I just do power blocks, 4 5-mile blocks with marathon goal pace with a 1 mile recovery between the blocks. It works for me and I've shown results. Wait, so then it's a 4 or 5 times 5. That's 20 miles with 1 mile in between. So that's what, like a 23-mile day? That's a big day. But I like the 4 times chunk of marathon work. I usually do 5K, but that's usually a bigger workout. That's towards the end of a block for me. But yeah, 4 times 5 miles. That feels like a lot. John Burchett Sharp JBS says, I had an 8-minute PB at the Marine Corps at the MCR half. Is that MCR is Manchester half this last Saturday, and was able to bookend with 3 miles each side at easy. So I think the fitness is there for a respectable effort on the 5th. There you go. Nice. And Calvin says, I wonder if Yasso 800s are still a good predictor. I usually do them about once a block towards the end, just to work on some leg turnover. And I want to say mine was a pretty good predictor. Mine was pretty close, in fact. Yeah. I think that to me, in my mind, the way it works, and maybe I'm just splitting hairs, is that, like, let's say I'm in 256 shape, I should probably be able to do Yasso 800s at 256 for the 800 for times 10. But I don't think it necessarily works the other way around. If you could do 10 times 256 for an 800 in a Yasso 800 workout, I don't always think it converts. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think I am splitting hairs. Pat Duffy says, checking in on an old question. Any change in your ultra interest or lack thereof? I don't think there's a lot of change there. I am going to do a trail race this weekend, though. There's a 10-mile race in my local park that I'm going to do. I did ask them if any restrictions regarding trekking poles. I sent them a DM. I haven't heard a response there. But then since then, they posted some photos from last year where one dude weren't using trekking pole, so I'm going to assume that's okay. And I guess if they say no, then I'll just put them in my car. But yeah, I love watching these ultra races. I think they're great fun to watch. I love being there for them. I just don't want to put on a bib to race in any of them. I still have Black Canyon in the back of my mind that I'd like to do at some point. It just comes at a difficult time in the year. It's a great time of the year for that race, but there's usually a lot of other stuff that I also want to do that time of the year. So there's that. I do love running in the trails, and I love running long in the trails. I just don't want to race long in the trails. Does that make sense? And also, I'm planning on doing Tiger Claw. Is that an ultra distance race? I don't know how long that one is, but I'm gonna be out there for that one. Eric says, trekking poles for a 10-miler. Does it have 10K feet of vert? It has a lot of, some of the hills that are in that park. If I want to go up them quickly, I think that I can get the poles out. And I think that it's a short enough course that, like, I'll just run with them in my hand instead of folding them back up. So that way I have them and ready to go and just climb up the hills. The hills aren't that big, but some parts of them, they're really steep, and I just feel like it'll help me get them up fast. I don't know. Maybe I'll regret it, but I think I'll just bring them, whatever. And Brian Lane wants to know if a trekking pole can turn into a selfie stick. I've been thinking a lot about this. I've even asked this question to Sage Kennedy a bunch of times, because when he does the skimo, I'm like, you can't just figure out a way to put your Insta360 on the end of that ski pole. It seems like a natural thing. And I don't know. There isn't a easy way. I'd have to do some drilling into the trekking pole to be able to do it. So I think that's what it comes down to. And I don't really know how to do a lot of that kind of stuff. Eric says that the Tiger Claw is around 50K. So I'll be doing an ultra in May. There you go. I suppose that one counts. Do people bring trekking poles for that one? I feel like people will. I don't know. And all right. Cannabis Culture Tech Live says, did you find anyone you think was cheating in the Chicago Marathon? I just watched a video where a guy used code to identify possible cheaters. I started watching that video, but it was a little bit on the dry side. It took a little long to get to the payoff. I never made it to the end. I don't know. I didn't see anyone cheating during the Chicago Marathon, but That doesn't mean people aren't. I guess I don't understand why people cheat at marathons, but I guess it's a thing that happens. I'm not sure what I find to be less rational to me. Cheating in a marathon when like you're not gonna gain anything from it. You know what I mean? Like the vanity cheating like that people are doing. Like I guess like they're doing it on social media, but like I interact with a lot of influencers. You know what I mean? I don't get the sense that they're cheating on their marathon. You know what I mean? They're not cheating so that way they look like they're more accomplished. Like who's doing this vanity cheating? I feel like this whole social media thing is just like people are cheating so they look great on social media. Are they? Show me the posts. You know what I mean? I haven't seen any. No one's showing me the post. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't understand that. And I mean, but people are clearly doing it. They're like cutting courses and doing all that kind of stuff because they want to say they did it, or I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. But I also have a hard time wrapping my head around the people that are obsessed with finding the marathon cheaters, like that Marathon Investigations website. I'm like, this is interesting that this exists. But I think the most interesting story about Marathon Investigations is the person that runs it. Why? What? I don't know. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that one. I mean, I guess it's good that they're doing it though. Adam says Marathon Investigations said 207 or so were removed from the results. A lot skipped the intermediate timing map between 35 and 40K. And volunteers before the finish were pulling people off the course without proper bibs. Well, there's always that. I think people like want to come. There's people that I know that their job is right before you make the right turn up Mount Roosevelt. They have radios. I made the phone signal, but they have radios, and I've heard the radios. People talking about like so and so and so and so. Grab that person. That's not a real bib. Like I've heard that come over the radios before. You know. But so I'm aware of that happening at the Chicago Marathon specifically, because they don't want those people coming down the finishing chute. But yeah, it's just like things that just don't compute to me, you know. And Brian Lang says, Marathon Investigations definitely gets a good payout nowadays. Does it? Who's paying? Like ads that are on the website? You think? And Matthias Santos said, like, are they cheating for a BQ? I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like cheating for the BQ is just like, doesn't make the BQ feel very good then, does it? I mean, I don't know, but I guess, I don't know. What matters to Matt says, if there's a way to cheat, people will cheat just to cheat. And I think that there's truth to that. And Frank says, there people were clearly cheating in the Mexico City Marathon. I mean, that seems to be true, I don't know. Yeah, and then he says, like, the Mexico City Marathon wasn't the only one that had cheater, but probably has the record. that one that's such a crazy story. Yeah. Jim Rome says for the Soul Crusher, it's 5,000 feet of vert for the 5 miler. Okay, so I'm gonna get 2,000 feet, 10 miles. This is gonna take me a little bit longer than I thought. Okay. Oh man. Yeah, Richard Wilson said there was a one race in China with masses of people in the video cutting. I've seen ones of that where people like you could see them cutting through the bushes. I think I've seen that one. And Brian says I think Miami Marathon hired him. Oh, Miami takes bib mules and bandits really seriously. Fascinating, interesting. Jason Dahl says, some are cheating just for the medal. Met someone on the red line who only ran 5K of the Chicago Marathon just so they could get the medal. Was really confused as to why. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, if you need it that bad, you can have mine, I guess. Mine's just sitting in the corner. I think. I don't even know where mine is right now. So, yeah. It, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. On a rainy day, the people cheating with fake bibs or with no bibs, those runners are literally the wet bandits, says Calvin. Yeah. I mean, what does suck is the problem here is that like CV76 says, well, sometimes then they run out of medals, which I feel like is horrible. Because then the people that are going to be effective are going to be people that are back to the pack that their only race goal is to like finish, and they've done it, and then they don't get a medal. That to me is horrible. You know. Richard Wilson says, "Should I put my medals on eBay? They're in a shoebox." I don't know. Would people buy? You think would people buy them? I don't know. Warren Will says, "We got $200 medals apiece sitting in the drawers." You think someone would pay $200 for a Chicago Marathon medal? I think that I could see paying like that much for an antique medal. You know what I mean? Like saying like, oh, this is like a first Chicago Marathon medal. Like that would be a cool collectible to have, you know? But then I'm like, would you even have it? Because then it'd be like, you ran the first one? How old are you? I'd be like, no. I bought that on eBay. That would still feel kind of weird to me. I don't know. And then Calvin says, it's really funny that most runners don't run for the medals anyway. They're running for time, for completion. And then the fake runners, they seem to only care about the medals. I don't know. I guess maybe. Kyle says, will there be a tough cutoff for 2025 since Chicago was great conditions? Will the BQ be a tough cutoff for 2025 since Chicago was great conditions? I think that, yeah, it could be. It could be. Who knows? I suspect that for 2025, they will change the standards. Or maybe they'll have need to have 2 or 3 years of really big cutoffs before they think about changing the standards. They'll probably change the standards the year I age up to the 45 to 49-year-old age group. So not this year or not next year, but the year after that. So yeah, probably. But then maybe the cutoffs won't be so tight, you know? Oh, Adam says, I'm putting on a couple of free races. They're underground with no permits. Where the only entry fee is to bring an old ribbon or medal to exchange. Oh, that's kind of fun. I like that one. That's nice. I like that. All right. Andrew Scott says, here we go. eBay has Boston medals as low as $22 and a rare one for $21,000 right now. Oh boy, everyone check your cabinets. Who's got the old Boston Marathon medal that's worth 21 grand just sitting at home in their sock drawer? I don't know. Adam Cheney says, hey, and we'll end with this one for today. He says, is there a site where I can buy the Kofuzi singlet that he showed a couple weeks ago? There is a website. It's in my Instagram profile. It's sold out now, but I ordered another round. So restock should be coming in 3 to 4 weeks. So stay tuned. It'll be coming back soon. So I doubled up. So almost doubled up. There's a couple sizes that didn't sell quite as fast. So I was like, we probably don't need to buy quite as many of those sizes. But for the sizes that sold out fast, I just ordered double what we had the first time. No, not double, but I ordered the same order twice. So hopefully people should be able to get them this time. All right. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today, guys. Really enjoyed the conversation. I had a lot of fun today. Will we have, I hope that we'll have an unboxing tomorrow. Because I'm out of gels. I have 0 gels at home. And I actually need that today because I was planning on doing a workout tomorrow morning. So we'll see. I had no gels for my workout earlier this week. It ended up being okay. I could probably make it through another one, but I'd rather have gels. So hopefully I will get those gels soon. Have something to unbox and talk about. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And tomorrow, hopefully I have another video for you guys as well. Aeroglide after 100 miles. So hopefully I'll get to see you guys twice, but we'll see how that goes. All right. In the meantime, before I see you guys again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Time, be safe out there. All right. Thanks. Bye.